Everyone. Thanks so much for joining. My name is Rekha Ganesh, and I'm very excited to be here. Now, if anyone knows me, they know that I put the A in type A. That's why I was so excited when the product school reached out to me to give this talk on remote work. I'm going to be talking through ways I've stayed productive while working remote and how to work smarter and not harder. So I'll walk through a little bit about myself at first, and then we'll touch on this phase that we're all in right now of our professional lives called the new normal, dissect the definition of productivity and how to piece it apart, and then we'll jump right into the productivity hacks that I personally use day to day, and then circle back on the takeaways. We have a packed agenda, so let's get started. So a bit about myself. I am currently a product manager at Microsoft working on supply chain planning for Microsoft devices. Previously, I was a machine learning product manager at Walmart and at Verizon, as well as a data scientist at Verizon. I studied at Rutgers University, double majoring in computer science and business. So honestly, I've gotten so used to my day-to-day routine at home right now. After working from home for about a year or a bit more than a year, don't even realize what my physical and emotional well-being was when I was going into the office. Almost seems like a past life. Well, over the course of our lives, I'm sure we've all experienced a variety of stressors in the workplace, whether it be from difficult bosses or coworkers, demanding work tasks, or even just long hours at the office. All of these factors can have a huge effect on our mental health and overall well-being. I would say remote work has been a welcome change for many. There's been no more traffic jams, and not to mention the lack of commute has been a huge time saver, at least for me. And previously, traditionally, working from home has been a perk, right? Whether you were just working a few days from home or a full week, it was just something that we would always look forward to. Now it's just known as the new normal. It's the state that our society settled into after a crisis. When the pandemic hit, it made an already stressful life even more difficult. I would say we're working longer hours than ever. In a survey done by Deloitte with over 1,000 respondents, 77% of professionals say that they have experienced burnout at their current job, while 64% of professionals that are even passionate at work are stressed. Similarly, in a Robert Half firm survey done of nearly 3,000 participants, nearly 70% of professionals that transition to remote work now work on the weekends. And 45% of professionals work more hours during the week than they ever did before. Don't even get me started on working parents. More than half of them are more likely to work on the weekends. Throughout the research I've done and read, I found a pattern. There are just main reasons of burnout that always stand out. That include two of the following. One is that professionals are unable to complete tasks on time. And two is that professionals are losing track of tasks because they're just fighting themselves to stay productive. Which leads me to my next question. What is productivity? Well, I would say productivity is getting the results you want with less time and effort. I want you to close your eyes and imagine someone productive in your life. What do they look like? What characteristics do they emulate? When you think of someone productive in your life, you might immediately picture a person who's just busy all the time, right? This individual might come off as they're just speeding through tasks and just constantly moving through deadlines. Underneath that, though, they're actually pushing deadlines. They're seemingly trapped under a pile of duties that seem to grow each and every day. And I know this very specifically because this person was me. Yep. We often make the mistake of equating just being busy with being productive, but they're not the same thing. When you're meeting the true definition of productivity, you're not going to be chasing deadlines. You're not going to be running behind on everything you need to get done in a day, week, month, or year. It's quite the contrary. You're actually going to be ahead of schedule. Productivity is harder than ever right now with working from home, with the ever so constant distractions, whether it be social media, technical difficulties, busier hours, tasks you need to do at home. And that's just small list off the top of my head right now. The bottom line is we all have 24 hours in a day. Productivity is being able to make the most of them, cultivate long-lasting habits of achievement and fulfillment, instead of just chasing an endless list of tasks, which leads me to my first hack, energy management. Like I was saying, we're working longer hours than ever. And now the core problem with that is that time is a finite resource. The energy, though, that's a different story. The key here is we need to learn how to understand and maintain our own personal energy levels and not our time. What's the difference, you might be thinking? Well, energy management is circulating your work and your productivity around you. You and your energy are the only point of focus for the day. Time management, though, is circulating your work, your productivity, and you around your calendar being the point of focus. Unfortunately, though, with this, your energy is completely neglected, which can be terrible in the long run and lead to mental health deterioration, which is what I was talking about before. So how can you personally find the right energy levels to be the most productive? To do this, let's run an experiment. So this is a simple experiment that I ran over the course of 3 days, measuring my energy versus my time. I logged this in a notebook, pencil and paper, didn't get fancy with it. And then I later converted to Excel so I can analyze a bit more. So my energy was scored from 0 to 5 by detecting my mood during the time of day versus the hours I work in a day. And I didn't include my evening meetings or stuff I do in the night. So the beginning of the days usually start strong for me, except like day 2. Actually, that was just due to some lack of sleep. Also, I noticed that energy levels are raised during lunchtime due to food or just because no one was pinging me. And any energy boost that I had that increased in about 2+ points was just because of coffee, positive affirmation, or positive reinforcement from my colleagues, friends, and my family. By running this experiment, I'm able to see when I'm most energetic and when my energy is the most depleted, else known as my peak and slump times. This way, I can understand when to prioritize my tasks. Here's another visualization that I put together to see what exact times had the most energy. All in all, I would say my peak time would be at the beginning and end of days, so 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. And then my slump time would be midday, like 2 p.m. And, this is a simple experiment I would recommend you to run just with your notebook, and no need to get fancy with it again. Just notice your energy levels throughout the day and week and see how it ebbs and flows. Track those correlations to see how much work you actually do and how much energy you actually have. Notice your peak and slump times. Once you understand this, you're already going to be a step ahead, which leads me to my next hack, goal setting. So now that you understood your own personal energy levels, let me show you how to properly goal set so that you're not just going off a to-do list. It's about working smarter and not harder. Remember, your tasks are going to get overwhelming, no surprise there. But that's why it's so important to set smaller goals for yourself. Align your main goal to smaller goals, or your monthly to your weekly to your daily goals. This way, you're just focusing on winning at a smaller level, and those 1% wins are going to add up. The key here is focus on your journey and not your outcome. Here's a small snippet of a goal that I actually had over the past month. And this is actually a biweekly goal that I had of completing a 1-pager with approval across my stakeholders and submit it for funding for one of my products. Let me show you how I broke down this goal and when I performed this goal during what time of day, depending on the energy required for that goal with my peak and sometimes. So for my one of my week goals, I wanted to understand the current process and pain points of my end users. So I broke this into a daily goal across 3 days of just meeting my end users and understanding their pain points and mapping out the current process flow to single out my MVP. This is a task that requires me to be super present and super focused, and I'm going to be performing this task during my peak time. Another example of a weekly goal was that I needed to align with my finance team on my business outcome. For one of my daily goals, I just needed to send out the meeting invites with agendas. And this is a goal that is super low maintenance and can be done during a slump time when my energy is low. The second day, though, I actually needed to meet with the finance team on the business outcome. And this is a task that requires me to be super present and energized, i.e. peak time activity. Just like this, you'll be able to break down your tasks into smaller ones and perform them in your own peak and sometimes with you being the point of focus, not your calendar. So now that you understood your own personal energy levels and properly goal set, here are some tools that I personally use to organize them. And I know there's tons of productivity apps out there, so there's no need to have like 10 or 15 of them. I would recommend keep it minimal, keep it simple, work smart and not hard by having all these apps to manage all the time. Here's the stack that works for me. So first and foremost, I like to have a big term picture planner, which is Notion. I primarily use it to set my 50,000 foot view goals, and I love this app. They have hundreds of templates to choose from for product, for finance trackers, habit trackers, you name it. I actually have a dashboard for work and then for personal use as well. For work, I end up using this for my product databases. So tracking OKRs, product wikis, product life cycles, etc. The second app I'd recommend is to get something that is a little bit more focused to your day-to-day. And now, I couldn't talk through this discussion without having to insert done by my company, but it's called Microsoft Planner. And now I primarily use this as a product management tracker and a team tracker. I have about 6 projects that I'm currently handling, so it does get a bit haywire to say the least with the dependencies and tasks that I need to manage. So I end up using Microsoft Planner to track my tasks for my projects. I specifically love this because it's directly integrated with Microsoft Teams. So I'm able to just tag my teams and alert them about a task. And the part that I love the most is that the app shows me week over week metrics. So this way, I'm totally kept accountable for my tasks at hand by understanding, am I lagging behind on anything? Am I ahead of schedule on anything? Do I need to put more time on anything, et cetera? Here's an honorable mention that I use. This is the Tide Focus app. I love that it is integrated with the Pomodoro timer technique, which makes me work a lot longer and a lot more frequent. For those of you unfamiliar, the Pomodoro focus technique is a system to group your focus into 25-minute chunks separated by 5-minute breaks. So instead of just working 3 hours straight, you're going to work 25 minutes of focus time and then take a 5-minute break and then keep going, keep that cycle going. This app actually allows you to get your work done while listening to a variety of sounds. And some of them include like rain, waves, pages of a book turning in a library, to even they have one that's just vegetables chopping. Yeah. So there's just so many to choose from. And actually, I have especially loved this during the remote work phase, because if you have roommates, children, or any extra noise, I'd highly, highly recommend this app to tune out all those extra distractions. Not to mention, it has those metrics on focus time. So again, you'll be able to see your peak and your slump times of focus. So now that you've understood your own personal energy levels, now that you understood how to properly goal set, and now that you have some resources to organize that a bit better, it will get overwhelming. I will say that you'll not be 100% all the time, but that's totally okay. One way to help with this is to digitally declutter, which is hack number 3. Because things can get chaotic, it's important to have a decluttering day by reorganizing your top priority content to be a bit more productive. The main point is to clean out your digital space frequently, because a clean space equals a clean mind. And you can have this digital decluttering day at whatever cadence you want to set. I would say start off bi-weekly and then maybe pull it to monthly once you get into that habit of things. Some examples that I have are as follows. For your work phone, delete any apps you don't use anymore. For your browser, close your tabs, declutter your bookmarks. For your desktop, clean it up, keep it as minimal as you can. And a huge, huge one, check for updates and install them on this day. Do not click remind me later. You can do that every other day, but not on digital decluttering day. For your email, archive your old emails, clean up your inbox. All of these smaller changes will definitely help you have that clean space and that clean mind. And feel free to take a screenshot of this as well. Now, Bonus hack I have, similarly to digitally decluttering, it's important to have a physical decluttering day. And you might not need this as often if you set up your workspace to be super, super optimal and effective. So here are 5 mini tips I have in this bonus hack. So starting off, number one, I would say set up near a window if you can. There's been a huge body of research that's been found that natural light actually encourages alertness, decreases stress, improves mood, and increases productivity. Also, just gazing out a window every 20 minutes or so, it's just a great way to give your eyes a break from staring at a computer screen. If you don't have access to a window, totally okay. You can keep your workspace bright with artificial lighting and invest in light bulbs that mimic natural light. If possible, I would opt for floor lamps rather than overhead lighting because you can modify the lamp's positions to reduce the glare on your computer screen. And as we all know, glare can contribute to eye strain and make it harder to stay focused. So customizable lamps are a win. So the second hack I would say is to invest in a standing desk. And if you are my colleague, friend, or my family, you know I will not stop talking about the one that I recently just got because my productivity has shot up. Not only has it reduced my lower back pain, but honestly, I don't know what it is. I just feel more important standing and working. But if you don't want to invest in one right away, totally okay. You can easily convert your existing desk into a standing one with one of those standing desk converters. To your workspace, I would also invest in ergonomic everything, ergonomic chair, keyboard, mouse, just to name a few. As you're trying so hard to just understand your own personal energy levels, properly goal set, organize with your applications, just make that your point of focus and just try to focus on the work as opposed to all of these little physical pains that might hinder that. So to avoid that, I would say to invest in ergonomic everything so you don't have to deal with those little distractions. In addition, I would say blue light glasses are a great investment. They're actually specifically crafted lenses that block and filter out blue light given off digital screens. And they protect your eyes from glare and help reduce potential damage to your retina from the prolonged exposure to blue light. And for my night workers, which is me as well, I just have a lot more energy in the night. The blue light from our devices, whether it be our phone or our laptop, it holds back our body's production of a sleep-inducing melatonin. There was a study done by the University of Houston that found that the participants that were wearing the blue light glasses showed about a 58% increase in their nighttime melatonin levels. And not to mention, they're super stylish and chic. I found pretty cheap ones off the internet. So very, very doable. The last tip I would give for your workspace is to bring in some green. Though you probably should not set up shop in your garden, you can definitely bring some of the outdoors in with a desk or a floor plant. It's just a great way to add a breath of fresh air to your workspace and create some visual variety when your eyes need a break from the screen. So I know that we talked about a bunch of things today. However, just remember the progression that we talked through. First and foremost, productivity does not equate busyness. Do not adhere to the norm of working long hours. It's important to work smarter and not harder. To do this, first, you need to understand yourself. Run that experiment that we talked through today and understand your own personal peak and your slump times. This way, you're going to be able to prioritize your tasks, which leads me to my next point. Your tasks are going to get overwhelming. No surprise there, but that's totally okay. We talked about breaking down those tasks into weekly and daily goals so that it's a lot more achievable to accomplish. Those daily wins will add up to your weekly wins, to your monthly, quarterly, and yearly. Focus on your journey and not your outcome. We also talked through some resources you can use to reorganize and prioritize your tasks with Notion, Microsoft Planner, and the Tide Focus app to tune out all that extra noise with beautiful and unique sound scenes. And tasks will get chaotic at times. So you need to make sure your space digitally and physically are as clean as it could be so that you can just maximize your productivity. This means having that digital and physical decluttering day, maybe monthly or whatever cadence you want to set at, so that you can just focus on the tasks at hand. This can be as simple as cleaning up your bookmarks on your internet browser, to adding some plants in your workspace, or even just investing in some chic blue light glasses. I promise you, all of these 1% changes are going to add up. And in turn, you will be working smarter, not harder. So thank you so much for everyone that tuned in. If you end up trying anything you learned, please let me know. It would mean a lot. Additionally, my inbox is open for any coffee chats or advice for anyone specializing in, or anyone that wants advice in product management, intersection of product and data, early career advice, or just resume building. My door is always open, virtually, of course. Thank you, guys.